Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Pregnancy, the perfect fetal development. My dharma, ancestral depth, impeccable wisdom, and my greatest discovery, Devyank, the divine design of nature, which with the perfect objects are designed and created. Impeccable wisdom is enlightening, Akhand Vidya wisdom is empowering. In the light of Devyank, let us understand this particular video to the clarity. Picture it in my ancestral depth is to get married, have a lovely, emotionally, mentally, spiritually integrated family, having healthy son and a daughter, and have a progression of the human race. This is one of the three rins or debts of every human being. First, Bhumi, to take care of earth. Second, procreation. Third, wisdom of the impeccable which nature has given to us from Vedas, Upanishads, etc., to the world in the light of the modern science which we can understand. Now, this is a continuation of my first thing to say the living cells are the one which procreate, and they are gross 3 parts and subtle that 21 parts, and one part becomes 2 to become 22. The first stage of creation is equal to 22 by 21. This I've already explained. Then, for review of literature, we are the greatest creation of nature. We have developed from mineral, plants, and animals to the human perfect, which is the greatest creation. In the process from cell to the next cell, the imprints of that are there in nucleus or DNA, in chromosomes, and you can see in P double helix. And it is a centrosome which is 2 in part, which divides into 2 centrioles to do the division, is also something which I've already explained. There are 22 pairs of autosomes which take care of the physical structure together. Again 22. Then you have X and Y. Y is meant for male, X is meant for female. Since Y is a small chromosome, the sperm can move faster which has got Y than the one which has got X or XY. So that's the reason if during ovulation, pregnancy and implantation can be better for a male child, but before and later it could be a female child. This is also the wisdom which I've already explained, which can make sure that you have a son and a daughter in a scientific way. Then oogenesis, the formation of ovum, has 10 stages of that, and the number of follicles which can be formed are same, which remains in 400,000 cells. They do not increase, but that is what is before birth, and then gradually they are used up to convert oogonium into primary oocytes, then secondary oocyte, and ovum by and large. This is something which I have already explained before. Perfect menstrual cycle is based on the ascending and descending part of the moon, and I have shown that if you want to understand a perfect menstrual cycle, you got to understand that 3 days before bleeding, which is the starting point of a cycle. So first stage of proliferation is the first 3 stages, cohort of 10 stages, and then associated hormones, and of course the basal layer which has to be understood, which I have explained. Then second is the bleeding phase for 5 days. Third is third proliferation of 8 days, then ovum, then corpus luteum for 8 days, and then corpus albicans for 5 days. This cycle goes on. If this 21 to 22 millimeters follicle size is maintained, cycle will be perfect, and the mother will be healthy, and the child will be very, very healthy for future. And that's why the perfect anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, psychology is absolutely essential if we want the next generation to be perfectly fine. Ignorance is not bliss. It's the knowledge which gives the wisdom. That's why the impeccable wisdom is important. Maybe that's the reason I find it very useful, and I'm evolving quite a lot over a period. Then follicle size, I've already told you, from primary follicles to secondary to follicle size should be 22 millimeter or 21 millimeter before ovum takes place. And This is spermatogenesis, the male sexual organs, and of course the testes, where sperms are formed, the outer as well as the, and the hormones which are responsible for formation of sperms. Hypothalamus GnRH, anterior LH and FSH, and then testes you have the testosterone on one side and of course the sperm formation on the other side. And testosterone is absolutely essential to make sure that we are physically strong. Lot of RBCs, brain is beautiful, central nervous system is good, bones and muscles are strong, and we can maintain a sexual character and also be potent physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually integrated. And I do believe testosterone plays a very important role. And testosterone through the aromatization can be converted to estradiol to be used as the brain stages much better than otherwise. Complete brahmacharya is not required. Getting married, having a partner, and having go through the normal process, which is the nature for Pitraline, which I'm talking about, is absolutely essential. And of course, as spermatogenesis certainly cells in seminiferous tubules, this particular process takes place. Spermatogonia gets converted to be spermatogonium, which is diploid, 46 chromosomes. Then blood test barriers, make sure this is there. Then it comes to primary spermatogenesis and secondary. And blood test barrier is another thing to protect that germ cells are not at all affected. Nothing which is toxic can naturally go to the testes and create a problem there. That is something also which is there in this particular thing. Then spermatocytes, secondary spermatocytes, which is first is the diploid 46, second is the haploid after first meiosis, which is 23 chromosomes. Then second meiosis takes place, then you have round spermatids and then elongated spermatids, which are the final active thing and which come out, go to the lumen and are discharged during ejaculation. And this is how a round satellite gets converted into this over 5 phases, and this is something which I want everybody to understand. And there's something which I've been telling is the law of 10 stages is there, and into one spermatogonium germ cell can convert it to 526 sperms, and 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 253, 53 are 10 stages of diploid development only. This is something which I want everybody to remember. Then fertilization takes place of union of ovum and sperm. In on this particular stage, let me tell you, the secondary oocyte is arrested in metaphase 2 as such if there is no pregnancy. This is something which I want you to completely remember. But it gets converted only after fertilization or sperm gets into ovum, and then only the next metastage second can complete. This is also something which is very important. Okay, further division is going to be from 46 chromosomes only, not from 23. 23 to 23 will become one, but unless until this becomes 46, the further complete meiosis 2 will not take place unless until it penetrates and becomes a zygote. This is also something which is very important for everybody to understand the perfect physiology, biochemistry, psychology of the human reproductive cycle. Then I've shown this particular thing, and then union of ovum is leading to zygote. As the first you can see, sperm makes contact with the egg sperm. Acrosome is the one which breaks it, and then that is hydrolytic enzyme. Then after breaking the zona pelliculatus, it can go to the next stage and then enters into the cell ovum, and there only the nucleus which goes in and converts along with the nucleus of the ovum to form again a new cell, and that is zygote. And that is something which I have shown in this picture as well as not. Now let's understand that picture a little more clearly. In this picture, you can see very clearly the sperms are coming closer, then acrosome is trying to break it, then it gets inside, then it gets into the cell, then sperm nucleus is released, tail part remains, then egg nucleus both unite to form zygote, and that is zygote nucleus, and that is the time when second primary meiosis takes place, not before that. This is also something which I have been trying to say. That's why impeccable wisdom is required, that each one is a mathematically calculated sequence. And unless until we know the whole picture, we will never be able to understand the sequence of divine nature clearly. Now, having done that, ovum is released, sperms have gone in, and you can see right on the top, fertilization day 1. Ovum and this is getting released, and that is becoming zygote. At this particular juncture, let me tell you, scriptures say after the creation of the universe, Lord Brahma took rest for 1.5 years. And I do know very well, after zygote is formed, it takes rest for 1.5 days. It is a coincidence Lord Brahma did for the nature, and zygote is doing for this. This is one thing which I want to show how the ancient Indian wisdom had so much of wisdom. How did they get? I cannot go into detail. But I'm trying to see the ancient Indian scriptures and modern science and then bring the impeccable wisdom in the light of Divyank so that the world understands the sequence very, very clearly. So having done that, then the whole process of development of cell division starts taking place after 1.5 days. Then this comes to 2, then 4, 8, 16, 32. Then you have a stage called blastocyte. As you can see, the movement of blastocyte coming into the uterus from fallopian tube. One more point which I want to keep in mind. The union of sperm and the ovum takes place in the fallopian tube only, or at the end of it, and then moves in, comes to the uterus to be implanted in endometrium, which is growing beautifully up to that stage. Basal layer becomes secondary functional layer. It goes on increasing right up to 8th day of corpus luteum. And this particular implantation has to take place into the endometrium by 8th day. If it fails to do in 8th day, signal is sent to the hypothalamus, pregnancy has not taken place, and stop producing GnRH, producing FSH, LH, and other hormones, and the cycle start deteriorating thereafter. The first stage of 16 days is an ascending phase from first 3 days to 5 days to 8 days to this. But then next 8 days again, another 24 days, there is evolution. But after that, there is a decline. And that's where the corpus albicans stage comes. Then follicle size start reducing. All the hormones are not produced. Estrogen comes down. Progesterone is not there. All the hormones, and there is a decline. And 5 days after that, new cycle starts, and 3 days after that the bleeding takes place. The whole cycle is so scientific unless until we teach the students such specific step by step without missing and coordinating hypothalamus, anterior pituitary, ovaries, follicular size as well as hormone size, uterus, endometrium, and its sizes and the different layers. Clearly, you are not teaching medical students or anyone for that world the perfect cycle to be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and human self for themselves. I want women to be perfectly healthy. We need to take care of their diet control, exercise, emotional thing, and they are the mothers for the next generation. They are the best teachers to lay the foundation for next generation. If today I am doing this, basically my mother was very, very intelligent, well taken care of. And that is the reality by and large. We need to take care of girls and women, their physical, emotional, mental, spiritual health needs much more care than that, because they go through the process, emotional thing much more. Otherwise, they will not become mothers. People might call it weakness and call them all sorts of name, but that is the strength, because they are here only as a mothers for the next generation. Without them, we cannot have next generation. If we want the next generation world peace, you need to take care of women health completely from beginning to the end, because they are the one who give us the world, not we. Now in fertilization, I have shown you that after fertilization, 8 egg implantation can take place. Then you have fertilized 2, 3, and then you have 16 cell to 30 cell, which is blastocyte. Then trigerminal layer comes up. Then you have fetus of 4 weeks, 10 weeks, 16 weeks, and 22 weeks to 22 weeks. By 22 weeks, first trimester and second trimester is over. At the end of trimester, fit child, the fetus is fit to receive even the divine consciousness, indwelling soul, through the head. And that is also something which I have explained in my previous slides. I am trying to show how it enters and how things develop. In the third trimester, after the entry of indwelling soul called Kundalini or Antaratma, or soul, it can modify the genetic structure in such a way that we can have a perfect body. We have been given pair, one is recessive, one is dominant. And Kundalini has the capacity to make a perfect combination in case it has failed to produce in the beginning. It can make inactive part also active, and active also inactive, and create a perfect anatomical structure, physiological structure, biochemical structure, and psychological structure, by and large by this. And during first trimester, first week, then your second week you have blastocyte coming up, and after third week, heart starts forming, and central nervous system also starts forming. Then go to the stage of eyes are formed, heart is formed, and limbs also start getting formed in the fourth week. By the time you come to the ninth week, the brain is getting started beautifully. Then have all the three parts of the brain start developing. Then external genitalia also start developing by ninth week. By fifth week, you have the eyes, heart, and limbs. Sixth week, you have eyes, teeth. Then eighth week, you have palate and external genitalia. And then you have ninth week, the brain is getting developed systematically. This is what happens in the first trimester. During second trimester, after 12 weeks, you have 13 weeks, development starts increasing. Then 15th is further development. All the organs have started forming. They're starting developing to the normal size by 17th. The 19th week, you can see the change. 21st week, you can see the change. And by the time you come to the 22nd week or 23rd week, fetus is more or less perfectly normal in every way. By second trimester, the fetus is completely perfect. At that time when you write for the indwelling soul to get inside and take over to modify the child to the perfect spiritual science experiences of the highest order can take place after that. And that is what I'm trying to say. The entrance of indwelling soul takes place after the second trimester in 22 weeks. And this is the picture. And that is through the head it comes and gets down through this nervous system, develops the nervous system, finally sleeps in Muladhara chakra or ganglion impar in the pelvic region, is something which I have already. Now the third trimester in 7th, 8th and 9th, you can see the development is further. This child is going very well. 8th to 9th is more, brain is becoming even more. What is interesting is by the 9th month, head tilts down for delivery to be through the head. That is also something very specifically explained in this particular picture. If this is a sequence which is taken place, we let the mother to be perfectly healthy, take care of her diet, things, everything, not to disturb her, give her the emotional stability, let her see the positive things of life, concentrate more on that, Give us the kind of knowledge to this, because after 22 weeks, this growing fetus, which is there now, brain is developing, is able to hear what the parents are talking about, is can make out. If we can give the impeccable wisdom during those third trimester to the father, gives it to the mother, mother in the process child, and this is beautifully given in Abhimanyu's case. As long as Abhimanyu's mother was listening to, Subhadra was listening to Arjun about Chakravyu, he knew how to get it. But when she went to sleep, he could not hear. As a result, he could not come out of that. This is another wisdom which is there in Mahabharata. Now, as far as the last stage is concerned, the positive feedback mechanism is come to the full stage after 10 months, 2 AD days, which is literally 10 months. And then how the implant will not go into details of this particular juncture. This is left for a further, but the picture I have given so that we understand this is a stage for the delivery, and then child sees a new world altogether. And this is what at the end comes. And here you can see all the 10 centers of endocrine system, 10 ganglia of autonomic nervous system. You can see the amniotic fluid. You can see the mind. You can see the higher consciousness. You can see all that what I'm speaking is there in this particular symbol itself. And I think this is enough, more than enough for the time being. I think it's been lovely giving a sequence of male sexual organs, female sexual organs, ovum plus sperm getting together to form zygote, and further development to form the healthy child, and entrance of indwelling soul and development, and then seeing the world for spiritual science wisdom very well. Thank you very